Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namah. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschatya Satarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pravijacharya Astora Shishimat Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pravijacharya Astora Shishimat Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnav Vranda Ki Naam Acharya Sridas Thakur Ki Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrindi Ki Sisi Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Navadip Dham Ki Gangamai Jamunamai Ki Bhakti Devi Tulasi Devi Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrindi Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So today we will be reading from the Krishna book titled Krishna, the ill-motivated Dhritarashtra. Ill-motivated Dhritarashtra. That's the title of that chapter. It's very interesting that the Krishna book, Prabhupada kind of summarized the purports or the verses from the Bhagavatam in a very nice way that is easily understandable for us common people. So also in the 10th canto translations of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, it's titled Akrura's Mission to Hastinapur. Because Akrura and Dhritarashtra are having a conversation, which we will get to later, and we'll see how it affects us also. And please feel free to ask anything if you'd like to whilst I'm speaking. Thus ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, Akrura visited Hastinapur, said to be the site of what is now New Delhi. The part of New Delhi, still known as Indraprastha, is accepted by people in general as the old capital of the Pandavas. So Hastinapur, Hasti means elephant. So the very name Hastinapur suggests that there were many elephants, because the Pandavas kept many elephants in the capital. Therefore it was called Hastinapur. And to maintain elephants, and it's hard to maintain a dog now. I know you'll have so much of difficulties maintaining a dog even. But it's very difficult to maintain elephants also. But because they were very rich, and they could maintain these animals. But as Akrura saw, when he saw the elephants, the horses, the chariots, he was inspired. So the kings of Hastinapur were taken to be ruling the kings of the whole world. That was like the hub. The whole world was ruled from that point. And their fame had spread widely through the entire kingdom. But their administration was conducted with good counsel of learned Brahmanas. So, Brahmanas are a symbol of spiritual education. Like we have the different classes of men, the Kshatriyas, the administrative class. But the Brahmins, they rule, but the Brahmins give direction because they are the brain class. They give direction. And they give direction not just from some concoction, from their own thoughts, which is there, but also mainly from the standard sastras, from the scriptures. And whenever there was some disobedience of the Kshatriyas, the ruling class or administrative class, then they were removed forcefully, by force, from their post. And then arrangement is made for better administration. So that's not presently, that's not now so possible in many parts of the world, in all parts of the world. And they don't have that Brahminical council that assists them or directs them according to the scripture. Because one can even have the scripture and thinking that he can just learn it himself. That's also not possible. Because the scriptures, the conclusions, remain in the heart of a pure devotee. Just like, how would you know what Krishna wants today? How would you know what Krishna likes? Is it there in the scripture? That today Krishna likes kachori or pakora, but you know what you like, right? Like today you'll say, well, your husband may phone and say, oh, I like to have some curd chutney or something, or paneer or something. Then you make. But that's not coming from what Krishna likes. So what Krishna likes, the general principles are given in the Shastras, but the details are given by the Guru. So that's there. And but the Brahminical culture became lost when the little boy Shringi, who was a son of a Brahmana, so he thought he attained some Brahminical power, both by birth and training. You can have birth and you can have training, but you will lack culture. So you can have those two, but you lack culture, and that's very important. Like people are very proud to say, I come from a Maharaj family. When you meet Indian people, I come from so-and-so family, some high-class family. And so they're very proud of that. But this young boy, he became very proud and puffed up by his Brahminical qualities that he wrongly compared Maharaj Parikshit to crows and watchdogs. So imagine you saying somebody is a crow and a watchdog. Somebody who is like a Brahman. It reminds me like one saintly person went and sat. A foreigner was, who didn't have much culture, and he sat to take lunch with him. And the foreigner said, pigs and birds don't eat together. So the Indian gentleman, the saint, said, no problem, I'll fly away. No problem, I'll fly away. So these sometimes we offend because we lack the culture. Somebody may be wrong in something. They may be doing something wrong. But to correct them, you have to have some culture to correct also. You just don't go point out the area like that. Although the scripture says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 17th chapter, I think it's text 15, talks about how Satyam Priyam, the truth must be pleasing to the ear. So you cannot correct somebody who is not your disciple. Or you don't have a relationship with the person because it won't be pleasing to the person. So this Brahman has these qualities. He has the culture. So when this offense took place by this less cultured boy, that's when the whole Brahmanical, Brahman castes had fallen, and they became degraded. So the beginning of Brahmanical deterioration was started by this boy. So we have to have this culture. So that's not in the Bhagavatam. So I just picking up some points and just adding it to what we just read. So many, as I'm speaking, you may be thinking, well, the South African government or many other governments, they are not really fit to rule. But also, the way I look at it, we must also see the good in people. Often I hear people criticize the government. But do you also look at what good they do? Or you just look at the criticism? Or the bad things that they do? So in ancient times, they could remove the kings. Just like, the Brahmins removed King Vena and installed Prithu Maharaj as the king of the planet. So what are the qualities of a Brahmana? What are the qualities? Samo Dhammas Tapo Socham. Who's a Brahmanya? Shantir Arjam Evacha. Jnanam Vijnana Astikyam Brahma Karmas Swabhavajam. Peacefulness, truthfulness, austerity, purity, honesty, knowledge, wisdom. So these are all the qualities, natural qualities by which the Brahman work. So you can see, do you have peacefulness? Do you have self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, and religiousness? These are the natural qualities. So as a Brahman, do we have, or maybe have one or two of them? So Akrura was in that category, but Dhritarashtra was in another category. And so Akrura, he's seeing the opulent city and he meets King Dhritarashtra. I'll paraphrase. And he sees many other personalities like Bhishma, Kunti, Akrura. So he's meeting all these wonderful souls. And he was pleased to meet them. And they offered him a seat, and he was actually deputed by Lord Krishna to visit Hastinapur. It's not that he just went to Hastinapur to meet these people, just to have some social talk or gathering, just to have some Gramma Katha. And also he was sent because he was qualified, because he understood. He was very intelligent in studying diplomatic situations. You have situations, and diplomacy, may not be so the best way to deal with people. But if it is used in devotional service, if it's used in the service of the Lord, then it's a form of devotional service. Diplomacy. So we know that Dhritarashtra was unlawfully occupying the throne after the death of Pandu, despite Pandu's sons. So Dhritarashtra, Akrura could understand that very well, that ill-motivated Dhritarashtra was inclined in favor of his sons. In fact, Dhritarashtra had already usurped the kingdom and was now intriguing to dispose of the 5 Pandava brothers. So this applies to all of us. It's not only applying to them. We may be in a particular situation. Even in leadership, you may be in a particular situation, and then there may be many people, but you want to get rid of some people. You don't want some certain people. You have that? You don't have that here, right? Okay, but it's prevalent. So you may want to get rid of them. So you use so much of diplomacy to get rid of them. You use so much diplomacy. And Akrura knew that the sons of Dhritarashtra, headed by Duryodhana, were very crooked politicians. So you may create situations for people to leave an environment, and that's not very good also. So Akrura, he decided to stay in Hastinapur, not that he just started pointing, hey, that fellow looks lousy, that fellow looks not so good, maybe he's a political guy, this guy's like that. It's not like that. But he stayed for a few months to study the situation. So gradually he learned from Kunti and Vidura that the sons of Dhritarashtra were intolerant and envious. So envy is a very deep-rooted, something that's very deep-rooted in practically all of us. Well, what's your definition of envy? Anybody would like to try? Jealousy. Yes, a synonym, yes. Anything else? Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada's definition of envy is when you don't like somebody. So I don't know, you're like everybody, right? So you can see, you don't like somebody. So envy is a very deeply rooted quality, and it's difficult to come out of it. But there's many, well, at least one thing is you should give credit to where it's due. Then you become free from it. If somebody is good at something, then you bring it to their attention and say, you did very well. But there may be 50 other bad things he's doing, but at least he's doing one thing good. So like that you become free. But we'll bring it up again later in the discussion. So the Pandavas, they acted as truly chivalrous heroes, exhibited all the good qualities of the Kshatriyas, and were very responsible princes, always thinking of the welfare of the citizens. So this is how we should be. We should, as leaders, we should be thinking of the welfare of others, like the leader thinks of the citizens. Just like we were just discussing yesterday, one girl from India had got a medal in France, in the Olympics recently, and the Prime Minister of India had phoned her to congratulate her. And he was talking to her in Hindi actually, but it's a very interesting discussion. And one of the things he said was that if you need anything, you can call me. I mean, like, it's just, this is a young girl, and it's just probably, she was feeling so elated and happy, and just by that concern. So this is not in the mood. This is not how Dhritarashtra was, and the and Duryodhana. So Akrura happened to be one of the cousins of Kunti. Therefore, after meeting, she began to inquire about her paternal relatives. So she's making, generally when you meet family and friends, you'll think, how is so-and-so? I haven't seen him for a long time. How is so-and-so? Like that. So Akrura is inquiring. And then she specifically inquired about Krishna and Balaram, because they were her nephews. And she asked, does Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very affectionate to his devotees, remember my sons? Does Balaram remember us? So here Kunti is hoping that her children are remembered by the Supreme Lord. But internally she was feeling lots of pain. She felt, as Prabhupada puts it, like a deer in the midst of tigers. Because after the death of her husband, she had to take care of the 5 children, and Dhritarashtra's sons were already planning to kill them. So especially for a mother, the mother is most attached to the child. From both parents, the mother is more important in many ways. Just like one can do without the father, but without the mother it becomes very difficult, at least in my estimation. I don't know what you all think, but Shishi Raghunath ki jai. And she was inquiring from Akrura, whether Krishna proposed to come to advise the fatherless Pandavas on how to get free from these intrigues of Dhritarashtra and his sons. So she was in a very helpless condition. And when somebody is helpless, what do? Do you push them down or do you pick them up? What do? You pick them up. So she felt like that, and then she offered some prayer, and I'll read it. My dear Krishna, you are the supreme mystic, the super soul of the universe. You are the real well-wisher of the whole universe. My dear Govinda, at this time you are far away from me, yet I pray to surrender unto your lotus feet. I am now grief-stricken with my 5 fatherless sons. I can fully understand that but for your lotus feet, there is no shelter or protection. Your lotus feet can deliver all aggrieved souls because you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can be saved from the clutches of repeated birth and death by your mercy only. My dear Krishna, you are the Supreme Pure One, the Super Soul, and the Master of all yogis. What can I say? I can simply offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Accept me as your fully surrendered devotee. So it's a very good prayer where you, with all your heart, you want to take shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. So offering obeisances, and in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, you see Vyasadeva is offering obeisances to Lord Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So he's offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord. And what it does, you find here that even Kunti is saying that she wants to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord and offering obeisances unto the Supreme Lord. So even offering obeisances to the spiritual master is also like taking shelter of Krishna, like you are offering obeisances, with great feeling. So it's taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. And in Prabhupada's Leela, one of his disciples, Brahmananda, was instructed by Prabhupada that any time you see your parents, you have to offer obeisances to them. So his mother was there for his initiation, and he offered obeisances, and he took that instruction very seriously. And when he went to Connecticut, that's where his home was, he went to his home and he rang the bell, and the mother opened the door, but there was no one there because he was offering obeisances, because she couldn't see him, because he was following that instruction. But he later commented that by doing that, by offering obeisances, he got detached from the material parents and he got attached to Prabhupada, because Prabhupada is a pure devotee and he is accepting all obeisances on behalf of the Supreme Lord. So in that way he got detached. So offering obeisances, there's so many things we could speak about. We'll stop there. But although Krishna was not present before her, Kunti offered her prayers to him as if she was in his presence face to face. So although she was, Krishna was not there, but she was offering her prayers, because when one feels deep separation, one can see Krishna face to face in separation. It's quite the opposite. It's a nice, we could talk about it later maybe if we have time. But yeah. So here, he's actually present everywhere by his spiritual potency. And one simply has to surrender unto him sincerely. That's how Prabhupada writes it in the Krishna book. Now, spiritual potency and connection, so we can see it's not limited to there's no physical limitation when it comes to spiritual potency, because it's facilitated through the spiritual energy rather than the mere physical proximity. So you can be anywhere and you can feel this spiritual potency. Like we often we went to Cooley or Dalton some weeks ago, a month ago. Rukmini Mataji. How was it? Very good. And we were chanting and we were dancing, and these people were beside themselves. So yes. So we have to learn to pray, like every morning we read, I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even broken and hearted, even if he doesn't embrace me, even if he's not present before me, he can do anything and everything. Why? Because he's my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Do you know what the word unconditionally means? What? What does it mean? Without any conditions. But in Prabhupada's vocabulary, unconditional means spontaneous. So when you come to that platform of Raghunath Bhakti, when you become to that platform of devotion on a high level, then there's no conditions. But before that, there'll be so much of conditions. You may not be able to do certain things. So when you reach that platform, so when Kunti was offering her prayers very feeling to Krishna, she could not check herself and began to cry loudly before Akrura. So that's the weapon of the female. So when all else fails, the tears are the weapon. True? Yes, yeah. So, but Vidura was also present, and both Akrura and Vidura became very sympathetic to the mother of the Pandavas and began to solace her by glorifying her sons, namely Yudhishthir, Arjun, Bhima, Nakula and Sahadev. So this is the art of reciprocating. Because somebody is going through pain, you become sympathetic, but at the same time there must be some glorification. You can't say, well, I really feel sorry for you, and that's it. But if you speak about the sons, how nice they are, so the mother becomes very happy. Is that not so? Because the sons attached to the mother, and the daughters are attached to the father. And therefore, the sons get the qualities of the mother. According to Prabhupada, the son gets the quality of the mother, and the daughters get the qualities of the father. So if she's hearing about her sons, then she'll feel a little bit more happier. So that's how I looked at it, that the glorification, sympathy and glorification go together. And they pacified her, saying that they were extremely powerful and she should not be perturbed about them, since they were born of great demigods, the Devatas, like Yamaraj, Indra and Vayu. And then, we all like to give advice to people. Even if somebody is ill, you tell them, oh, this works. Another person, that works, different advice. So you never know what medication to take in the end. Yeah. So Akrura, he wanted to give advice to Dhritarashtra. And he was inclined to his own children and unfavorably inclined towards the Pandavas. So then Akrura is now addressing him, Dhritarashtra. And he's calling him Vaichatravirya. Vaichatravirya means the son of Vichitravirya. Because Dhritarashtra is actually the son of Vichitravirya. But we know he is the son of Vyasudev. Because the way it's put in the first canto, that Kunti, was expecting a child first, and Dhritarashtra, Gandhari became envious, and then she punched her stomach, and a lump of flesh was born. And from that flesh, it was by Vyasudev divided into 100 pieces, and there were 100 sons. So in that way, you could, in that sense, you could say, well, Vyasudev was the father. So Akrura is very intelligent. He's showing that because of diplomacy. He's saying that, my dear son of Vichitravirya, you have unlawfully usurped the throne of the Pandavas, because that he's not the real father. He shouldn't have the throne, because the throne rightfully belongs to the Pandavas. But anyway, somehow or the other, you now have the throne. So it's quite diplomatic. And yet, therefore, I beg to advise you to please rule the kingdom on moral and ethical principles. If you do so and try to please your subjects in that way, your name and fame will be perpetual. Akrura hinted that although Dhritarashtra was ill-treating his nephews, the Pandavas, they happened to be his subjects. See, even if you treat them not as the owners of the throne, but as your subject, you should impartially think of their welfare as though they were your own sons. Otherwise, in your next life, you'll have hellish conditions. You'll enter into hellish conditions. But is it possible to be partial or impartial? See, as a king, you're supposed to be impartial. Definitely you have to be impartial, especially if people are serving under you. Because if your son does something wrong, and somebody else does something wrong, who's not your son, how would you deal with that? I'm asking, how would your parents deal with it? Oh, my son didn't do anything wrong. That's how you'll deal with it. The other person is wrong. Is that true? It's true. Even if you say, you shake your head and say no, but it's like that. In India, this is a yes. So we think like that. So, impartial. There's so much being said in the scriptures about impartiality. Just like, when Narada Muni was serving the Bhakti Vedantas, the sages, and Prabhupada writes that they were impartial in distributing transcendental knowledge and devotional service. Because to a saint, to a sadhu, nobody is an enemy, and nobody, everybody is his friend, but he doesn't have enemies. He's favorable to everybody. So these are good qualities. These are Brahmanical qualities. Because people were trained right from birth, and this training was compulsory. Not just to create good citizen, but to actually prepare people in the future to take to spiritual life. So at a very young age, even in India, I mean, just in Vrindavan where we normally stay, just across there's a school there, and the young boys will be coming with their cycles, and they will go and they'll be reciting mantras for hours on end. All the verses and intricate mantras, and preparing them to become good citizens. So, is Krishna partial or is he impartial? He's both. Both, So to be impartial is a good quality. It's really a good quality where you see everybody favorably. But I was reading in another purport, and I'll read it. Since the king always remain on the path of piety, he will be neutral to both his sons and the sons of his enemy. If the son of his enemy is not punishable, he will not punish him. Because if you don't like somebody, then you might harm his children, because that causes him more pain. And that's in the consciousness of people. Hey, I hope his son die. Isn't it? You think like that. So, but if his own son is punishable, he will immediately punish him. This is impartiality. So the king, and this is the real characteristics of an impartial ruler. Because it's the duty of the king is to protect the innocent and punish the criminal. And therefore Prithu Maharaj was in that category. He was in that category. So that's another lesson to learn from these pastime. Then Akrura is stressing about material existence is temporary, and that one should not be overly affectionate towards family members. Then he's saying, Dhritarashtra, that your affection has been misguided. His affection has been misguided. And he's telling him how the destiny is shaped already, based on past pious and impious activities. Your destiny is always shaped. But we have also free will and choice. We have the choice. So what are you choosing? To be a devotee of Krishna or not? You want to be a devotee? Because we have that power to make our choices. And then how we change our destiny. How do we change it? How do we transform ourselves? Because, a lot of times people are not ready to accept good advice. And in this case, Dhritarashtra is in that category. He's not accepting that good advice. And for ourselves, when we start accepting good advice, then we start growing spiritually. We overcome our lessons, our challenges, and then we change things. But sometimes people are not open to new perspectives. If you tell them something new, oh no, I don't want to change. I'm doing it for 40 years. I'll stay like that. So people are resistant to change. Do you have that type of situation? Even in spiritual organizations I'm talking about. I'm not just talking about, the government. And it can be difficult because you have deep-seated beliefs, habits, like that. And you're not willing to change. So we have to look at that from, when we read this pastime, we have to look at ourselves. Because we're not ready to get rid of our old patterns, which is, aligning us, which may not always align us with timing of receiving good advice. So we're not ready to give up that, and we're not ready to receive change. When it may be beneficial to you. So everybody have different personal beliefs and perceptions. We understand that. Ego and self-identity play a great role in envy. Your ego, it plays a great role. I am such and such a person. I was, a few days ago, I was in Richards Bay, and I was addressing a group of people who were highly educated people than myself. They were all graduates and all high in the academic arena. So, but one man couldn't accept the fact that life come from life. He couldn't accept that. So he's telling me, he noticed that religious people go to temples and because they have so much, but because wealthy people go to temples, and how do you reconcile that they're going to worship the Lord? I said, you know what, they're in a better place than being at the casino, at least at the temple. Where are you? At least they're at the temple. You're going to the casino, you're going here and there. So there are many lessons to learn when one undergoes challenges in their spiritual practice or in life in general. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of personal lessons, and by learning those lessons, we get stronger in devotional services, because these lessons can be an integral part of spiritual growth and self-discovery. It plays a very important role. And we all understand karma. Then inner conflicts. Do you have inner conflicts? You? Anybody? And what are your conflicts? You may have many goals. And sometimes you're battling with something inside. You hate that person, but you can't tell him. But it's good to discuss it in a nice way. That's why you need the third person, like in this situation. See, Krishna didn't go. Krishna didn't go. He sent the third person because there's a conflict between two family members, so he sends the third person. And that's what you call, in our modern day terminology, we'll say arbitration. Somebody has to judge. So sometimes we may have inner conflict, and we have to work on it. And we should have that third person. What do you think about it? But honestly, what do you think of it? So, and we should be honest about giving our feelings and thoughts to the person, so the person could decide. There's so many, trust in relationships and spiritual autonomy. There's so many things, unresolved issues. And when you have unresolved issues, and when you have it inside your heart, like Dhritarashtra is suffering with this, I know that the Pandavas deserve the throne, but I want my sons to have it. So that's an inner conflict. And that when that conflict goes on, then you're unhappy. And then therefore individuals, you need to address these issues. And we should take advice. And therefore Krishna had sent Akrura to Hastinapur to address these issues. So there's so much could be said about that, but moving on, he illustrated then the next point that he was talking about, Akrura, he says that wealth accumulated unlawfully does not benefit the family, and it is ultimately squandered, leading to a downfall. You find when you accumulate wealth by unclean means, then gradually it is lost. Because you see these people often say this, hey, you got it through some unfair means. You're envious that he got it anyway, but you'll say, you know what, he'll lose it at some point. Because you'll become happy when you lose it. Isn't it? True. Rukmini? You're thinking of what happened to you, but anyway, no, it's okay. You're a devotee. So yes, like that. So you think about other people as well. And because that the consciousness, you want to bring people down. This is envy. PhD, what do you call it? Pull him down. People who got PhD, they pull him down. Perfect, humble devotee, pull him down. But yeah, so PhD, pull him down. So that's what PhD stands for. Pull him down. And Akrura is advising that you should accept material existence as transient and to focus on spiritual advancement. So like this, a sadhu never flatters. And this is a nice purport, but we don't have much time, but I'll just talk about it a little, you don't mind. We still have 5 minutes. A sadhu should never flatter kings or rich men to live comfortably at their cost. A sadhu is to speak to the householders about the naked truth of life so that they may come to their senses about the precarious life in material existence. Dhritarashtra is a typical example of an attached old man in household life. So therefore he was attached, and then Vidura speaks to him. Because the sadhu cuts through it. He doesn't, like so often, when we're presenting our philosophy, we try to sometimes not say the 4 principles. Because the fellow may be eating meat. Isn't it? But at some point you have to say it. Because you have to separate the 2 parties. Otherwise the mediators will still feel they're doing the right thing, and they will be influencing the people who are doing the right thing. So you have to separate. So once you present that no mediating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, people will separate. Because they don't want to hear. But this is the word, this is how a sadhu is. And then in that purport, this is not from the Krishna book, but from a purport from the Bhagavatam. It says, I'll just read this. He had come to a pauper in the true sense, yet he wanted to live comfortably in the house of the Pandavas. Because you must know now that all the sons were killed, and Dhritarashtra is now living in the family, in the house of the Pandavas. Can you imagine? When you try to cheat them, but you're still staying with them. But the Pandavas didn't see it like that. They saw that their uncle, the good counsel, they were all the good things that he had done. That's how they were viewing it. So this is how you have to be impartial. Although they were treated badly. So a sadhu never compromised. A sadhu should never flatter kings, rich men to live comfortably at their own cost. Like sometimes when we're preaching to people, we're thinking how much I can get out of him, and maybe he has to give me something, came so far. I came to preach to him, maybe I hope he gives me, but if I tell the truth now, maybe he'll change his mind. Like once one devotee took me to a home to speak to a wealthy person, a billionaire. These billionaires. So when he went there, before he can introduce me, I told him, well, we came for certain things. We came for money, this is what we want to do, we're building a temple in Richards Bay, we want you to help us. I'm not advertising anyway, but if you want, it's okay. But But the person just looked a little bit, and after a while said, okay, we'll see what we can do. And we left. And the person deposited 403,000 rand. So it's a lot of money. But we have to be straight. If we're going to tell them, well, we follow these things, we're thinking, oh, they may not give. You get it? So we have to also say the truth. We also have to say the truth. And why was Dhritarashtra living at the house of the Pandavas? Because he wanted to continue his life comfortably, even under the risk of humiliation. Because we get so rich, attached to comfortable life, that we don't want to give it up. Therefore, we live in temples, and temple people who are residents should not be attached either to the facilities. Therefore, we live very simply. If you come to our room, you'll see us. We live very simply with one bag. We got our things in the bag. And when we are asked to leave, we pick our bag up and we go. You see that? That's how we live. So it's very simple. And Vidura therefore was astonished how powerful is the urge of continuous life. The sense of continuing one's life indicates that a living being is eternally a living entity and does not want to change his bodily habitation. So people are worried about their comforts. So the sage Vidura was his brother, was very harsh, using harsh words, but for the benefit of the person. Well, it's up as 8 now, and I think there's a few more points, but we could talk about it. Yeah. So there's so many things to say, but maybe we can take some questions now. If anybody would like to comment. Anybody would like to say something about household life? Yeah. Huh? I'll finish up the point. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll just take 4 minutes, okay? Is anybody going to comment on anything? Oh, yes, okay. Hare Krishna, what's your name?
My name is Bruce. My name is Bruce Kaunda. I'm a film lecturer, and I'm very touched by your lecture this morning because I teach method acting, and I use method acting.
Yes.
So method acting is, I use the teachings of Krishna consciousness. And I found your lecture very profound today because it's all about concentration, mindfulness, and letting go of ego and stuff.
Yeah.
So I benefited a lot by coming here this morning. Thank you so much.
Okay. What do you? Where about you lecturing?
I lecture in Scottsboro.
Okay.
And I'm also a film actor, so I incorporate your teachings, the teachings of Krishna consciousness.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to learn more about that and how we get people to concentrate and focus, because as an actor it's very difficult to get actors to focus when they're playing a scene. They have a scattered brain. They're not here. We need them to be in the moment. So, you see?
It's very interesting because Srila Prabhupada wanted plays and acting.
Yes.
He wanted that because, the emotions come out.
Yes.
The feelings come out, because sometimes, like the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, they had to do a play, and they practiced for 1 year to do a play. And he was playing a role of a Advaitacharya, a particular advanced spiritual personality. But for 1 year they practiced. And the people were watching this play. And At the end of the play, nobody applauded. You know why? Because everybody was crying. They were emotional. Because that emotions had an effect on them. So he was very appreciative in acting, when people, when there was plays, and he would watch the play. And in one instance, he would pay respects to the person who also played Krishna. He paid respects to the person because she played the role so well as Krishna. So it's very interesting that, and it's something like last night we watched a play, amazing play in Tonga. And there was the play on, about Haridas Thakur, who was a Muslim, and how he surrendered to Krishna and chanting the holy names. It's the whole, it was very nicely done. It had a lot of effect on the people. So it comes out. So you're doing good work. So you can also carry on with that good work. We wish you well in your journey.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. I also go to campuses and institutions. To all the campuses we go, and we preach to them. So we're also going to be going to Zululand University at some point in time. We're going to be, there's about 15,000 students there. So we want to reach them also. We want to reach out to them. Like I met, there's so many people. Like there was when I gave the talk the other day on the mind about a few weeks ago, and there was a lady who walked in, and she either came when we were dancing, or she came in just before when I was finishing, and she was from a Muslim background. And she wrote an amazing letter to me. I was quite astounded by it. But I put the garland on the husband, not realizing that they may not appreciate it. But then they left. And then I asked her, when you came, and she said we came towards the end. And I was speaking on the mind and ego and various things. And she was inspired by the whole mood of the atmosphere of the devotees. They were all happy, they were dancing and smiling, and he was leading. And both of us would normally sing together. So we were singing, and she was very happy. And she said she likes to embrace this thing, this philosophy. It's quite interesting. And then she said that her husband, when he put the garland on, he kept it on because it was, he felt good about it, and he walked around and he felt that he was really married to her. And then when they went home, then they kept the garland in the room. They felt it was very auspicious. So people are touched in different ways. Some people may not become spiritual devotees, but they may appreciate Krishna consciousness in different ways. And the appreciation is their spiritual advancement. Their appreciation is their spiritual advancement. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Oh, you're going to ask something? Okay. You can use a mic because people online wouldn't know what you asked.
Hare Krishna. First, my apologies because I don't always understand things clearly, but I am learning.
Right, sure.
So, please explain the what exactly does Krishna consciousness mean?
Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
Uh,
So for me, devotion, I am new. Devotion means I am following whatever Lord Krishna is putting on my path and putting here, telling me here that this is what you should do. This is the way you should go. But for me, that is devotion. So what is the difference between devotion and consciousness?
You see, Prabhupada registered the society as International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Because somebody, said, we should say God consciousness. And that's very vague and general. God can mean anybody, because sometimes we may refer to your husband as God. So God is a vague term. So consciousness, what is Krishna consciousness? And it's there in a book called The Science of Self-Realization. Does anybody have that book? Yeah. But you have that book. So you read in that book, I think it's in the first part, the first 5 lectures or first 5 chapters. It's talking about discovering yourself, the science of the soul. But consciousness is like, it explains what is the way he explained it. What's the difference between a living body and a dead body? Minus the consciousness. So one has consciousness, and that when he's conscious of Krishna, that means he's Krishna conscious. Get it? So now that you're conscious of Krishna, that you're aware that Krishna is God, now you want to do something for him. And you as a person offer everything with love to Krishna. That is bhakti or devotion. And we are following that path of bhakti yoga, that love and devotion. So you offer everything to Krishna. This is for you. And it's mainly, and Krishna accepts that offering from you. But what is he actually accepting? He's accepting that love, because everything belongs to God, but you are offering it to him. It's like your son takes your money and buys you a nice sari and give you. But you have 50 saris already. Which one you like best? It's like that. You're offering it. So that's bhakti yoga, devotion. And Krishna is touched by your offering like that. So consciousness, it's the same thing. You must be conscious to worship Krishna, otherwise you're a dead person. So Krishna consciousness is you're conscious of God, Krishna, and then you offer him everything with love and devotion. And he says in the Gita, what's that verse? Patram pushpam pulam toyam, yo me bhakti prayachati. If one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. So if you do that offering with love, then he accepts it. And then the persons, if he's a living person, and Krishna is a person, he's affected by it. He say, how nice this, my devotee has come after such a long time to offer me this little flower. And he accepts it. He has feeling, he has emotions, he's conscious. See, Krishna is conscious of everybody, but we are just conscious of ourselves. So that is why we say Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness. And just like there was one example of one in India, they have like people who are working class people, and they just have a cloth wrap on the lower part of their body. And they be cleaning, and they work very hard. And Srila Prabhupada, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, was having a very important discussion with some leaders, and he was very busy. So one man somehow found, this one worker like that, found that the person was in this room, the spiritual master. So he went out and he got some flowers, some flower, and he walked through these people who were guarding the place and went in and just left it and walked away. But he offered it with so much devotion. And I was explaining that point earlier on, that how the spiritual master is not taking it for himself, but he's offering it back to God. So it's passed back to God. So when he left it and went, Srila Prabhupada stopped his meeting and became very emotional. Because he said, I'm just an ordinary man, and if this, I'm so touched by his offering. Can you imagine how much Krishna will be touched by his offering? You get it? Sounds okay? So we wish you well on your journey. You can connect with us again after the lecture. If you need anything, we can help you. We're ready to help you to become more conscious of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai. Thank you. What's your good name?
Now,
Anil.
yes.
Thank you, Anil, for your nice